You are listening to the Critical Mass Radio Show, Orange County's business talk show, focused on exploring topics of interest to CEOs who are leading middle market companies. With your host, Richard Franzi.
Hello and welcome to Orange County's longest running business talk show. And yes, I am your host, Rick Franzi. And boy, do we have a good show planned for you today. Why do you ask? Fair question. Because Susan Howington is my guest. She is the CEO and founder of Power Connections Career Services Incorporated. Susan, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rick. It's a real pleasure to be here. And let me congratulate you on your longest running Orange County radio show. That's amazing.
Yeah, we celebrated our 15th anniversary, 1,500 shows last year. We're still going on strong, and it's meeting entrepreneurs from Orange County like you and nonprofit leaders is why we keep doing the program. Let's go back in time and start with your origins story,
Sure.
Susan. What was the original inspiration and motivation that you had to launch your firm?
Well, I love this question because I think really what it all starts with is passion for me, passion for what it is that I do, and passion for helping people in a constructive and productive way. But in addition to that, there's two other things that were the platform for my motivation to start my own business. Number one, I have wanted my own business since the time I was in 8th grade. I've been so interested in business and although I didn't know a lot about it at the time, but there was something in me that always wanted to have my own business. And actually, I guess it's not surprising because I came from a long lineage of entrepreneurs. My grandparents on both sides had their own business. My father had his own business. And fortunately for me, my husband grew up in a family-run business. So that was my fortune and on the personal side. But on the professional side, I would say the impetus for me starting my own business, there was a particular moment in time. I was working for a large global outplacement firm, which I am in the outplacement business. I had a great career with this company. I was a regional director, and I was part of the strategic planning committee for the company. And at that day, we were trying to design what would the company look like 10 years from now. I know now we're looking, shorter timeframes for sure. But at that time, it was 10 years and maybe 5 years. And the idea on the table was to discuss creating a service model that was technology based and a service model that diminished the people aspect of it, meaning the employee aspect of it, and also the one-on-one coaching that would go with the career consultant and the client. And as well as I do, if we're looking at a profit and loss statement, real estate and employees are the most expensive items on the statement usually. Right. So here we were talking about how can we use less employees and less real estate and do more technologically to service our clients. And honestly, that it disturbed me. It didn't sit well with me. And we were on an offsite meeting, and I remember calling my husband that night from the hotel and sharing this discomfort with him. And I was saying, if I had my own business, if I could do this my way, I would do the total opposite. I would add more services. I'd add more resources. I would give more time to people, because when people are out of work, they need help. And it's a very complicated time for people. So anyway, we got to talking about it. And my husband said, if you really want to do this, then you need to write a business plan and you need to convince me that you can do it. So I took the challenge and I wrote a business plan. At that time, my son was young, and I got a babysitter, took my husband out to dinner, and over dinner, I presented the business plan to him. And he succumbed and said, there's no question, this business very well. And you've certainly been running the business for another big outplacement firm. So if you want to try it, go for it. So that's how it all started. That was the inspiration and motivation. So I started Power Connections August 11th, 2006, which was on a Sunday. And it was our wedding anniversary, and it was the birth date. It was the birth date of my son. So that was why I remember it so vividly. And Rick, I sent out an email to 120 people. I cobbled together an email list from business cards that I found in my purses, from emails that were written in my business journals, because I always kept all of my journals. And that's how I got my first marketing list, if you will. Put out an email saying that Power Connections Career Services is a real thing. It's a business. And in 3 weeks, I had 3 clients, and that's how it all got started.
That's such a great, I love that story. Such an, to be surrounded and to be so comfortable with the idea of entrepreneurship because you were raised seeing it as a real advantage, I would think too, Susan.
I think so. It's kind of part of your DNA, and I can't imagine another kind of business life, really. I love being an entrepreneur, and I love talking about it.
And what you did, in my opinion, is the hardest thing to do in business, which is to start a new enterprise. It sounded like for you had some wind to pick you up a little bit with the first clients, which is great, but still, it's a challenge. And I'm wondering, has the business model pivoted? Did you have any pivots in the early days or over the arc of the existence of the business? Any major or minor pivots you could share with us today?
Yeah, I've been in business now almost 19 years, and I wish I could say that I've morphed things into something drastically different. But the reality is, what I have realized, Rick, is that job search I call it an individual sport. Although you need a community, you need a network, you need a village of people helping you. Getting the job is still your responsibility.
Right.
And for most people, it is a very confusing time. And for most, it's complicated because most of us need to be earning a living. Most of us rely on that regular paycheck. Many of us have obligations that are in and of itself are quite overwhelming. And so what I have learned through the years is that people still need people, and they still need support when looking for a job. And that support makes all the difference in the world for them. And that's what we give them with my company, is that we give real one-on-one, insightful, current support so that people can feel more in control in their search and be more productive. So if I've had any big epiphanies about the change in services, probably not. But what I do know, and it is reinforced to myself and my team every day, is that people still really appreciate that help that they get from us.
It's an unsettling time for a corporate person to be looking for work, to be out of work, to be uncertain about the future. You're so right. So you've kind of done a great job interspersing what it is that your company does. But let's give you a chance to kind of go back over it, because is there a certain niche that you work with, and how do you help them? And of all the people over the years that you've helped, is there a certain type of persona or psychographic that you really find get the value from working with your friends?
Yeah, good question. So we work with corporations and companies of all sizes. I mean, I've had one customer for years, and he owns an advertising agency, and he usually has 12 to 14 employees. And every now and then he has to, let someone go. So I have that small business that works with us to large Fortune 1000 companies that when they let people go, they might let hundreds of people go. So there is no specific customer profile, if you will, Rick, for my business. Okay. And there's no industry, and there's no discipline within the services that we focus in on. And, there are people that would have asked me over the years saying, it seems like you have a lot of people out of the medical software industry, let's say. Why don't you specialize in medical software? Well, I could, but I don't want to. And I think part of it is because I get bored if I am talking and thinking about the same thing all the time. So I like having clients that come from a wide variety of industries. I love having customers that do different things. I'm very curious about business. That has to do with, me being 13 years old and always loving to talk about and know about businesses. I still am that person today. And so we don't focus in on any industry, company size, any type of professional. And we work with all levels of people when when they've been separated, terminated, laid off, whatever word you want to use, they've been part of a reduction in force. Companies will pay us, it's part of the severance benefit, to work with that person, to give them support and help that person find new and meaningful work. And it's a wonderful, wonderful benefit. And some companies are still doing this. They're very generous about it. And it's just terrific.
Yeah, because as people move up in their career too, they director, vice president, whatever the title might be, the reality is, as you go up the pyramid in a corporation, the number of those positions that are of that level outside become less and less because you're moving kind of up the corporate structure. So having someone like you and your organization to help level set those people probably is invaluable, because I'm sure some people are somewhat, uneasy about the fact that they now have to go look for a job after some amount of time. It's hard.
It is hard. And the other part that I think we really do instill in people is a sense of control. Because if you think about it, if you have been terminated or a part of a large reduction in force, so many times you're absolutely blindsided by it. Someone or some people have made a decision about you and your future and your work life that you had no part of.
Right.
And it's very difficult to wrap your brain around that and your arms around that and your emotions around that. And so we're very good at helping people come to grips with it and then take control of their search. So it's an excellent support system.
One of the things that I do for every guest on the program, and we've had 1,500 plus interviews over the years, I like to track how many first level connections on LinkedIn I have with the guest.
Yeah.
And you now get the gold star.
Yay!
Yes. We had 555 mutual connections.
Wow.
And we have been connected on LinkedIn for a long time. Matter of fact, we were first introduced through my brother,
Yes.
who knew you from a professional capacity. And so
Yes.
You really are well ingrained in the Southern California.
Yes.
Let's celebrate that. So
I work hard at that. So thank you for that acknowledgement.
So let's turn your focus a little bit. Let's talk about maybe a piece of business advice that someone gave you, Susan, that you could pay it forward and share it with our audience today.
Yeah. I always think about this advice. I got it over 20 years ago when I was first starting out in my career. The person that gave me the advice is a gentleman by the name of Don Kent. And he told me, he was the president of the marketing division of the Geneva companies. And I had just gotten a job with him. And he told me that for me to succeed and excel in life, in business life, is to be known as the one who knows the most about what it is that you do. And so in a sense, be the expert in the very thing that you're doing. Be the person that other people think of if they have a question about that particular thing. Now I think we talk about that as professional branding, but way back then, I don't think the term existed, right?
You're probably right.
That was great advice for me. And it's advice that I carry with me almost daily, Rick, because even when we're talking with our career transition clients, in job search, you need to differentiate yourself from other people. And so how do you do that? is put a stake in the ground about what it is that you do really well and own it and talk about it. And so I love that advice. It has served me well. And how I applied it is I want to be known as the expert in career transition coaching.
I love that. I've been asking a version of that question for 3 years to the guests who want to answer it, and I don't think I've ever heard the same answer twice. And I can tell you for a fact, Susan, I never remember hearing anything close to what Dawn told you. So thank you for.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And it served you well, not just recently, but over a long period of time. So
yes, and it serves others well too. Right. It applies to so many people.
Yes, that's great. All right, so let's talk technology in the sense of artificial intelligence. So I've got like a multi-layer here. First, at a general sense, what's your feeling of AI as just kind of an innovation in the marketplace? How do you see it being adopted or impacting your clients, your industry, and within your firm? Are you looking at it or leveraging AI today?
Yeah. The way I feel about AI is I am scared of it. I'm intimidated about it. I'm impressed with it. I have fun with it. I am toying around with it. My philosophy is that, or my belief is that it is not going away, and I need to adapt to this, and I need to learn the value of it. And in addition to that, learning the value of it, but also learning the limitations of it as well. So I think we all need to adapt in our professional life and in life in general. The ability to adapt is extremely healthy for us, and AI is one of those areas where I think it's unhealthy to fight it, and that it's better that we not necessarily embrace it, but we be open to it and we learn as much as we can about it. In terms of the impact that AI is having in my business and my industry, it's having a tremendous amount of impact because of the very thing that launched me into starting Power Connections is that technology is taking over the coaching world, the consulting world. It's taking over the role of the person that has been, that has made a living in a livelihood coaching others in different things. But I don't think that AI is going to take over really. And I don't think AI is really going to replace that coach because, for example, with the team that I work with some very experienced career transition coaches. These people know the nature of the job market here in Southern California. They know the companies that are here. They know a lot of people that work in those companies that are hiring people. And they also know the innuendos. They can spot the challenges that our clients have that an AI, that a bot isn't going to be able to do that. So the human side of what we do is never going to go away. Job search is a human experience. It is. And someday that might change, but for now, it's a reality. It's very much a human experience. And so AI, I don't think is going to replace the human aspect of what it is that we do for our clients, but it definitely is threatening. And, it's interesting to see the place that it's taking there. So was there a third part to your question? I kind of went off on.
No, I think you get, no, I like your candid conversation about it because again, like the earlier question, several years now, I've been asking for our guest perspective on artificial intelligence, and it's a continuum of how they view it and the impact, as well as how they're leveraging it. So, no, you did a great job. I'm going to turn you again, and there's in the media, and possibly there's economic indicators that suggest there may be a slowing down of our economy. And I'm wondering, in a slower economy, or God forbid, a recession, how does that impact Power Connections, Career Services, and corporate?
I think we're one of the few industries where a downturn in the economy is actually good for us. And because when the economy isn't doing so well, companies tend to not do so well. Some companies become concerned. And so in anticipation of what might happen, they pull in the purse strings and they start to think about shortcuts and where some extra spending perhaps that they can get rid of. And so what tends to happen is there are layoffs. There are reductions in forces going on, big and small. And so that's the space that we play in. That's our workplace. And so all I can say is that for those companies that provide outplacement to the people that they do lay off when there is an economic downturn, they're doing the right thing by those employees. Because if you can imagine getting laid off, I was in business in 2008, 2010 to 2010 in the recession. There were so many people out of work. It was terrible, as we all know and remember. So if a company can provide outplacement services to the people that they lay off during these times of economic uncertainty, all the better, because again, all the support that we give people, it only gives them a safety net and a feeling of control, and not to mention somebody to talk to during this time. And so yes, during economic downturns, our business tends to thrive or flourish or do very, very well.
Yeah, and as you were answering that question, I'm thinking it's kind of, your industry is sort of two-sided. It's on one side you have the candidate, and on the other side you have the company that's looking for the candidate. And then for you have the third side, which is the company that's willing to pay for your services to help that candidate become a candidate.
Right.
And in a tough economic time, the amount of job openings tend to be less as well, because people aren't necessarily hiring. So your services to help those people thread that needle is probably even more appreciated by your clients.
Absolutely. And it works, and it's effective because we've been doing it a long time, and we know how to work the angles for people. Yeah. And we share the angles,
I say we don't do often what we don't do well what we don't do often.
Right.
And generally people aren't looking in the job market, and the job market is so dynamic. It's never the same thing twice when you get into it. Having someone like your company who's on point and understands the best practices, that's so valuable. It has to be.
Yeah. In our monthly team meetings, on the agenda always has the topic of what's happening in the marketplace today. What are our clients experiencing? What trends do we see? What's going on? So every month we are, as a team, sharing nuances and what are we hearing and what's new, what's not new, what's a repeat of what we saw 10 years ago. So we take this very seriously. We want to be able to give as accurate a picture about the job market as we can for our clients, and then how to maneuver that climate.
Yeah, that's so needed. That's so valuable. Okay, so hopefully someone listening today live, or maybe in the future in one of our places where our recordings reside, would like to connect with you, because we have 555 mutual connections. So it's only going to grow, Susan.
Yes.
How do they find you on LinkedIn?
Well, you can find me under Susan Howington. I have a very prolific, robust profile and LinkedIn Life. You can also find our company website. It's powerconnectionsinc.com. And either way, you can communicate with me through either channels.
I said at the top of the show, we had a good one planned for you, ladies and gentlemen. And Susan, I think you delivered. I know you delivered big time. The time just flew by. I want to thank you for being a guest on our show today.
Thank you. And I appreciate the invitation.
You're welcome. And thanks to the audience. You've been a part of Orange County's longest running business talk show and podcast. This episode will join our catalogs on their various platforms. We have over 1,500 of them. If you happen to be an Orange County-based entrepreneur or a nonprofit leader, and you feel like you would like to share your story with our audience, then reach out to me. If we're not already connected on LinkedIn, I'm Rick, R-I-C, Franzi, F-R-A-N-Z-I. Let me know you have an interest. Between Haley, our producer, and myself, we can help get you ready for a future episode of the show. Until the next time we all have a chance to be together, I hope each of your business decisions would then move your companies in a positive direction. But Haley, I see we have a message coming in. Maybe you can bring it to the screen as our closing thought. Well, looky there. It's from Michael Franzi. He says, "Hi, Susan. Oh, what a small world."
Hi, Mike.
All the way from Seattle.
I heard all about you from your brother.
Yeah.
I love what you're doing.
Yes, he's going to send us links for his one of his 2 bands that is blowing up and in a good way. And so,
Wonderful.
Susan, I know you wanted to learn more about that part of
Yes.
his life as well. So,
Yes.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Michael, for being a live listener to the show. And again, have a good day, everyone, and we'll see you on our next episode.